Hi, this is Maria Estudillo, and welcome to Wright State University Community of Inquiry Training for Language Instructors. Class begins prompt at 4, and all homework assigned during this video is submitted in Pilot the night before next class by midnight. Make sure you open the Google document that goes with this session so you can type your answers when prompted to do so. Before we start, make sure you complete the audio setup wizard by clicking on Tools on the upper left of your screen and that you put your electronic hand down. Make sure you have minimized distractions by turning off your phone, closing the door, and putting a Do Not Disturb sign on the door. To make sure a session is being recorded, make sure you're seeing a red button in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure that the screen you're seeing reads Quality Check right here at the top to ensure screens are advancing properly. Lastly, make sure there is a blue microphone next to my name. Excellent. Now let's do a breathing exercise. Take a deep breath. And as you breathe out, let all your distractions go so we can focus on this time together. Welcome to all virtual students, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to participate in this workshop. Today is January 13, 2018. The purpose of this session is to discuss the framework of Community of Inquiry as a model for online learning. By the end of this session, you will be able to provide a history of e-learning, determine the reality that is helping e-learning transform teaching and learning, explain the Community of Inquiry framework, and give an overview of the theories that are the foundation for this framework. Let's do an icebreaker before we start the lesson. I want you to think of your experience regarding collaborative learning in an online class. This can be your experience as an instructor or as a student. Pause the video so you can reflect and type your answer in the discussion board in Pilot so the whole class can find out more about your experience in online learning environments. Great. So for those of you who have not been exposed to any type of collaboration, then this workshop will give you a new vision of how to transform any learning experience from just a delivery of information into a community of inquiry. If you do have experience with collaboration, then you will be sharing those ideas with the class as well as learning new ones. Our students here at Wright State are constantly asking us when we're going to offer language classes online. And we usually tell them that learning a language online is difficult because they don't have anyone to practice with. But the reality is that e-learning has a lot of advantages in language education. In fact, online language learning is challenging our traditional teaching approaches. I realize that learning new technology is challenging and time-consuming, but we cannot ignore the fact that it provides teachers and students with creative and practical ideas to come into contact with the language. The term e-learning came into use in the mid-1990s with the development of the Internet. Back then, e-learning was mainly used for content delivery. The goal at that time was to create and sustain a learning community in an asynchronous discussion group. With time, these groups evolved into a community of learners working collaboratively to construct meaning, and later they became educational communities of inquiry. The field of distance learning has changed dramatically since then. E-learning course development is constantly evolving as technology evolves too. Activity number 1. Let's pause the video to answer the following question. What technology do you use in the class? Make a list. Go to Communication in Pilot and email the list to your group. When you read your classmates' list, if there is something that you're not familiar with, then your homework is to ask your members to explain more about that technology and how they use it in class. E-learning is directed to providing an accessible and collaborative educational experience. Participants can not only interact with the content, but also they collaborate with others. The pedagogy behind e-learning assumes that students will work together, not independently as in traditional distance education. So by collaborating with other participants, e-learning can be used to transform teaching and learning. Collaboration is paramount in a community of learners. Collaboration provides meaningful learning experiences that cannot be obtained by distance learning. The new reality of e-learning is that it is transforming teaching and learning by collaborative construction of knowledge in a community of learners. Activity number 2. Remember to pause the video to complete the activity and go to your Google Documents to answer the question below. What makes e-learning different from distance learning in language education? Base your answer on the information we just went over. Go back to the previous slide if you need to review the information again. The value of technology in education has called for the need to explore the best methods and practices in order to provide a worthwhile educational experience. So since around 2000, one specific model has generated particular interest. This is the Community of Inquiry, or COI, framework. This framework has been very popular and helpful in guiding research in learning theory and the design of online environments in higher education. This framework has been a useful model for improving online education. The premise of this model is a collaborative, constructivist view of teaching and learning. This model is grounded in John Dewey's educational philosophy. He believed that a worthwhile educational learning experience resulted from the process of reflective inquiry that takes place when people collaborate and share ideas. To him, individual learning was dependent upon a community and cannot happen in isolation. He believed that inquiry was a generalization of the scientific method to solve problems and support deep and meaningful learning experiences for the individual and their community. With technological advances, written communication can happen in an instant. The advantages of text-based communication is that it becomes a permanent written record for the learners. The process of written communication promotes recall, reflection, and critical thinking. This type of communication is central to e-learning, and it could support collaborative approaches to thinking and learning. In foreign language, text-based communication helps improve writing skills. Students can monitor their understanding, and it reduces anxiety because they have more time to edit their work. Activity number 3. Remember to pause the video to complete the activity in your Google document. How do you think communication can take place in a new learning environment? In online higher education, building community of learners is of particular importance and cannot be taken for granted. The Community of Inquiry framework was introduced by Garrison, Anderson, and Archer in 2000 and is based on a collaborative, constructivist view of teaching and learning associated with the work of John Dewey. This framework translates well to online courses because it supports thinking and learning collaboratively. This framework views educational experience here in the middle as arising from the development of community. It has 3 core elements: social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. In this diagram, you can see how each one is interrelated with one another. All 3 are necessary, and it is not possible to segment one of these presences. The purpose of the activities we designed is to develop a community of inquiry. Let's watch a short clip that explains the 3 presences. I will put the link in the chat for my virtual listeners.
So you can have a community of inquiry, you need social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. This is a model for educational experiences in a hybrid classroom. Each aspect, like the branches of government, are important in building an educational experience. As an instructor, It is important to be seen as a real person with thoughts and feelings, someone who cares. That is, of course, going to happen face to face, but that needs to be strengthened and seen online as well. Being seen as a real person, that social presence. Another benefit to the hybrid classroom is your ability to engage and activate learning within your students. According to J.B. Arbaugh, cognitive presence is the extent to which learners are able to construct, confirm, and reflect upon their learning. Your teaching presence, according to J.B. Arbaugh, is the ability to organize, design, facilitate, and direct the social and cognitive learning experiences. Blended learning needs your wisdom and expertise on choosing whether machine or man delivers information. Finally, we know that no learning can occur without capturing kids' hearts with our social presence and building of relationships. Your presence face-to-face and online will combine for an even stronger relationship.
Great. Now, let's do a self-reflection. Pause this video to complete the following questions in your Google document. Number 1, which presence do you think is harder to implement in an e-learning language class? Teacher presence, social presence, or cognitive presence? And explain why. Number 2, how can the community of inquiry model help you facilitate student online interactions? And number 3, how can e-learning create and sustain communities of inquiry in language classes? In conclusion, today we have talked about how e-learning has changed teaching and learning. It allows us to create a worthwhile educational experience when activities designed help develop a community of inquiry. The Community of Inquiry framework is an important concept in guiding practice of online and blended learning. For this section, again, pause the video and write down your answers in your Google document under the section titled Evaluation. Number 1, how has e-learning evolved over time? Number 2, what are the 3 presences in the COI framework? And do you think that one is more important than another? Number 3, how can the information from this workshop help you transform an e-learning experience from just the delivery of information into a community of inquiry? Don't forget to email me with your questions or comments regarding this workshop. Please submit your Google document with your answers by midnight the night before next class. Thank you again for your time, and I hope to hear from you soon.